Today was good just from a standpoint of getting out there and practicing, take stuff right from last night and try to implement it, try to fix some things out on the ice. I think it's probably to be expected. Like I said last night, there's a lot of good things that we did. There was a lot of good chances we scored. I don't think we got the results for those, but from a defensive standpoint, there was a couple of things that were too loud. And so the good thing about having the game is we can take it, look at it, and put it right back to the players this morning, go out on the ice and work on it. And that's probably the way it'll be all through camp here, just trying to just check the boxes and get better at stuff. And I think the more we do the reps and the more we practice, the more we understand it, then I think the guys will pick it up and it'll just become, a lot easier for them to read and react and understand that.
Have you had a camp in your long NHL career where there may be as few open spots as there are here? I mean, I know you probably don't want to evaluate everybody, but it seems like the group that you had in the first group, the first couple of days, is very close to what it will probably be like in a couple of weeks. Does it change the way that you evaluate things when you have some guys that you know will be there at the end?
I do think it's changed a little bit from a mindset, even for me as a coach. And I was honest with what I said on the first day. That day gave the first day of practice, not the skate test. I think it gave me an opportunity to work with the guys that are under contract that you think will be part of the New York Rangers group moving forward. And then it gave me a chance to evaluate in a scrimmage and now exhibition games players that you want to compete and push for a job. And there are openings, there are spots, and there is opportunity. But you're right, I think that on all teams probably that window is closed a little bit to a wide open, there's contracts that are in place, and that's not to say that any contract is locked in. Like there's always moves you can make, but and I'm not speaking about our team with that. I'm just speaking in general. The mindset you asked about training camp, and I mean, my last job, it was more towards what you're saying. Even the job before that, it was still more towards maybe 20 years ago. There was an opportunity where there was 6 or 7 spots that weren't contracted to NHL players. So I do think the game's changed a little bit with regard to that. But there's still some players that have put themselves in a position through their past few years that are going to get an opportunity to show what they can do, and you'll see them in the lineup in exhibition games here every night, and we're hoping they push and that they can make noise.
Is Will Cooley one of those guys? Do you feel like he's made a good push early on?
I think that he, based on his year last year that he had as a really young player in the American Hockey League, scoring 25 goals in 55 games, and playing physical, and his size, his skating, certainly a player that is on an upward trajectory. And so he gets a game last night. He'll get more games to show what he can do.
He actually has said that he kind of patterned his game after Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
Do you see any similarities?
Yeah, I do a little bit, and certainly the size. I mean, he's a big kid. I think he's 6'4", and he can skate, and you can see that he can hit. He had a couple hits last night. He had a hit in the scrimmage the day before, right over in the corner where I was sitting. I thought the person might end up in my lap over there. But he has that element, and it's kind of rare, Larry, to have that type of element and still to be able to score. You mentioned Tom Wilson at that rate, and he hasn't done that here. But he did it in the American Hockey League, 25 goals, and so I don't know if you want to exactly make that comparison. He's a young kid. He's trying to make it to the NHL, but I do think that those are his traits. He can skate. He can hit. Last year, I think he proven that he can fight once in a while, and he has good hockey sense and good hands to be able to score goals as well. So, to answer your question, yeah, I mean, he's going to get more games. I hope he continues to push.
With your goaltending, we all know what Igor is, but what do you know about the rest of them? Deming and Quick and stuff. Is there a competition there?
Yeah. So I know quick, back from some USA stuff, and I certainly have followed his career and the success that he's had. You know, I thought he was good. I thought he was good last night. As I stated earlier, I wish we were a little bit better. It was too loose, and you know, they got through us too easy, and there's too many. If you need your goaltender to make 6-10 bell saves, you're asking a lot of your goaltenders. So there's things that we could have done better in front of him last night. But what he brings to the table inside of our room, from a leadership standpoint, from an experience standpoint, those two guys are workers out on the ice. Like, they work. They slow down the drill. They'll stop the drill from moving and continuing because they can't get off of the puck that came in on them originally. They're still fighting for it, and then they're fighting for it, and then they're battling for that third rebound. Meanwhile, the other drill's already combined, and they're shooting it in the empty net. So they're fierce competitors, both of them, and they practice hard, and that's exactly what you want from
The
a
two guys
goaltender.
meaning Quick and Igor?
Shesty, yeah, or Igor.
How much does, excuse me, how much does a guy like Quick and his history and how long he's been in the league and his caliber, does that factor into, I guess, just how you view him, how you want to make decisions by him, does that factor into
I
all
think,
three of them?
I think a player that's proven to have championship level success in your locker room, I think that's a real plus. You know, Nick Bonino's experienced that, and other players as well that we brought in here. So I think anytime you can add that caliber of what it takes, that's a good thing for your room.
For your game tomorrow, which is at the Garden, I presume you would have a little bit more experience in the lineup?
Yeah, it'll be a different lineup, and you'll see a lot of guys that didn't play in that first game in Boston in there tomorrow.
What are your early impressions of Ryan Lindgren?
Hard worker. He's a fierce competitor, and so, you know, get to see him behind the bench tomorrow, so that'll be good. And the more you're behind the bench and watching the guys play, I've watched them from afar, I've watched them from the other bench, I've watched tape, and I see them in practice, but I think when you see players in games, you really get a better feel for them. Even Will Cooley, or you know, you get a player that's in there last night, and you get a chance to see him. Schneider, you know, you get to see these players, you get to feel it better from behind the bench, and you can talk about it the next day, but certainly a guy that has been counted on here for a few years now to be a real presence on the back end and a real leader for this team.
Speaking of Schneider, you know, I know he had the one play where he wasn't happy with.
Yeah.
But what did you think of watching him for the first time?
Yeah.
You know, like in terms of, you know, obviously a lot of other guys weren't in the lineup, so what did you
Yeah.
think of
So I thought it was a good game. Like I said, you want to win the game, right? But I'm looking at the game, and I'm watching what we're doing, and so I think that we can be better at what we do on the ice. And so there was a lot of people, I think, that are guilty of that, and it comes back to me making sure that they understand everything they're doing. So the things that needed to be better, we tried to hit it today for this group moving forward tomorrow to learn from it. We didn't just show it to the player, we showed it to everybody. We said, listen, this is why we're doing this is why we're showing it, and try to take, you know, if we had 5 loud mistakes last night, try to make it 2 or 3 loud mistakes, try to keep that number coming down and give ourselves a better chance to win. And so I thought he did some good things out there, and is the one that you're talking about, but there's also some things that I think positionally that we could do better, him and others as well. So that's game one. I think you're going to see a lot of that in the beginning here, where something breaks and we got to fix it.
Do you need to be careful with Vika getting into the game?
Yeah, we'll be 100% careful with that. So it was good to see him out there today. I think anytime a player gets back out on the ice with your group, that's a good thing. So a different colored jersey, and so there won't be any push or rush to make that happen.
Did you like Harper doing what he did at the end there?
Yeah, I did, because I mean, there was some physicality going on out there that he didn't like, and you know, he took charge, and so you know, that's a good job on him protecting his teammates.